Hey. Back. I'm back here now. Hey, Microraptor. Rumi, I'm back.
Luna is making noises in chat.
And we're live. I think. We're live? Yes, we're live. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Transister Productions. And today we'll be looking at...
Live is always good. Absolutely wonderful.
And today we have with us Heidi from Heidi's Corner.
Hello.
Good evening.
And
or afternoon, wherever you are.
And Microraptor. I'm loading up my virtual webcam so that we have something. There we go. There we go. That should work. Oh, sweet.
Okay then.
How's that look?
There's still the intro rolling on the stream page.
Yeah, it should be.
They can hear us, but there's still the intro page or the intro screen, whatever you want to call it, the green one. Ooh, that's much better.
Yeah, it takes about 30. It takes about 30 seconds. It takes about 30 seconds for them to catch up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're saying that our mics have been live for a moment now.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah.
Well before the intro went off.
Yeah, I don't know how
just
to. I don't know how to.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that. So that's just something we have to live with.
Anyway, here we are then. Something got to live with it. Okay. Yes.
But yeah, we'll be looking at
How are we doing today?
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Except for the headache and the hypersomnia.
Yes, at least in sports.
Yeah.
That happens. That's shit you want to have.
I have bouts of insomnia and hypersomnia that kind of wreck my days. Especially when I plan something.
Yeah. That, yeah, that happens. Okay. I'll take the chat here. Okay.
I'm gonna clear this
It's
up a little bit.
actually, yeah. There's a while back. There's been a Microraptor said audio check, video check, Zoom is sex toy storage check. Yeah, in the chat. So just blame Microraptor.
Blame Microraptor, yeah.
Chot.
For what?
And I am going
For
to
what?
fix something here real quick.
Blame for what?
Fix
Hello?
Nimrod says fuck ups make the world
Blame
much
for
better and
what?
funnier. Yes, indeed.
What was I going to be blamed for?
Everything?
Say what now?
Anyway.
Okay, we have stuff about athletes, trans athletes in sports. I did talk about Laurel Hubbard, the Kiwi weightlifter, uh, leading up in the months leading up to the
Can you hear me?
the
Yeah, we
last
hear you.
Summer Olympics. I think it was in Tokyo. So,
Yeah, we hear you,
Yeah,
Micro.
because I asked the
there's an interesting
question
stuff.
several times and you didn't answer.
Well, we must have not heard you then. But we hear you now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
good. Okay.
Yeah, we seem a little bit disorganized today, but we'll get it all together soon.
Aren't we always?
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much any stream.
Aren't we always a bit disorganized anyway? So
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
this is Bunker 34, so
This is the Transistor Productions. So we're yeah.
yeah. This is the bunker we're talking about. We've never been organized.
Yeah.
Organization? What's that?
Indeed.
So yeah.
But hey, this channel is NASA Bunker 33. They're just trying to NASA mind games or something.
Yeah, it's
Trying
just,
to get us
yeah.
disorganized and
Your
like
audio's
this,
dropping
like
in it.
some sort of new MK Ultra.
It might be my internet then, if it's just my
Some sort of
audio
new MK
going
Ultra
through.
thing.
If it's just my audio coming through completely 100%, well, it might be my internet that's having the problem. So, if it is, well,
Heidi's corner, your audio's dropping in and out. Zoomy is coming through 100%. Okay,
so it's probably my
Okay.
internet then, if that's the case. Unfortunately. I could always try using StreamYards, but I've never used StreamYards before, so I don't know how it works. Oh, great. Jumped out. There she goes.
my okay. It. I hope it's not because I think this thing we're using for streaming might not like my VPN.
Or it might
So
be a
I turned it
VPN,
off.
yeah. Might be a
How
VPN.
is it now?
Sound perfect. You
Yeah.
sound better now.
Yeah, but I just turned it off. I just turned off the VPN. So this thing we're using here probably doesn't like the VPN. So
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
it keeps cutting out.
You sound better
But-
now. Yeah, you do sound
Yeah,
much better now.
Yeah, and Nimrod Nimrod was saying that uh, me and Micro were dropping in and out with the audio, not a problem for me, but good for you to know, Zumi. Zumi, it could. Nimrod says Zumi, it could be that is high usage time in Hades and Zumi's part of the world. Could be, well, not really, because my internet connection is 1,000 in and 400 or 500 in out. So, and I hardly ever have any issues.
Mine's 200 down and 10 up. That's megabits.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably my internet. And like he said, this is a very high use part of the day because it's only 3 o'clock p.m. where I live.
Yeah.
So it's a very high use
Demon,
part of the day. So there's probably a lot of people on right
Demon
now.
Orb saying hello.
Hey, Demon Horb. So
Yeah.
yeah, do we want to get on with the video or?
Hi, Dimino.
Yes, please. Yes, let's get on with the subject, okay?
Yeah, let's just start.
Let's go. Let's
If you
go,
see a
bitches.
trans woman, like the American swimmer Leah Thomas, in an athletic competition against women born female, it's difficult not to ask whether that's fair. In this video, I want to look at what science says about this. How much of an advantage do men have over women, and what, if anything, does hormone therapy change about it? That's what we'll talk about today.
Oh, and I want to thank Nimrod for sending me this video.
It's cutting out as hell. Just
oh great.
just put hey, Zumi, put down the video quality, please. It's cutting out as hell. Okay. Just put it to 720p or something.
Yeah, I'll put it at 480p for
It's
now.
1080p now, so just put it to 720.
Let me
Yeah,
try.
just
720. Try
put it to
that.
720p or something, because it's.
But
yeah.
Jitsi is very laggy with video, so
Yeah, because if your internet connection is congested.
well, Jitsi is very laggy with video
Because if your
anyway.
internet connection is really congested, just it fucks with your video anyway. So just please go.
Yeah, it said 720. Let's try that. Let's try it real quick. Let's see.
The vast majority of humans can fairly easily be classified as either biologically male or female. The two sexes have rather obvious differences in inner and outer organs, and those differences are strongly correlated with the expressions of the 23rd chromosome pair, as you remember from your school days, XY for men and XX for women. So far, so clear. But this classification of the two biological sexes doesn't always work. There is a surprisingly large variety of what's known as intersex conditions, in which the biological expression may be ambiguous or doesn't align with the chromosome expression. Some cases are truly amazing. For example, in 2014, researchers from India presented the case of a 70-year-old man, father of 4, who underwent surgery. The doctors discovered he also had a uterus and fallopian tubes. His chromosomes, however, turned out to be the standard male 46XY. Another example is the Spanish hurdler Martinez Patiño, who has feminine genitals but XY chromosomes and internal testes, something that she herself was unaware of until the age of 25. After this was discovered, she was banned from competing in the 1986 Olympics. Such cases are called disorders of sex development, DSD for short. They are rare, but not as rare as you might think. According to various estimates that you find in the literature, they affect between 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 50. This means that in the United States, there are between about 300,000 and 7
Hold
million
the fucking
intersex
phone.
people,
Hang on.
and globally
Hold the fucking
between...
phone.
Yeah.
Top. Hold the phone. Okay. It's not it. Okay. These intersex conditions. It's at least the last time I checked is 1 in 100. On average, 1 in 100 babies are born with external genitalia to be ambiguous to some degree. But whether or not then these intersex conditions combined it depends on how you define intersex, because whether if it's anatomical, if it's if it's external, internal, chromosomal, so or yeah, we need to define this lady needs to get her define her terms.
Yeah,
Please go forward.
a little bit, yeah.
And 160 million. Part of the problem with making those estimates is that the definition of an intersex condition is somewhat ambiguous. Now, most intersex people aren't transgender and most transgender people aren't intersex. But the question what to do with intersex people in competitive sports is a precedent to the newer question of what to do with trans athletes. And Martinez Patiño illustrates the difficulty. Her condition is called hyperandrogenic 46XY DSD. In the general population, it happens at a rate of about 1 in 20,000 births. Women with this condition have elevated levels of the male hormone testosterone. In 2014, a study by European researchers found that in elite female athletes, the rate of this disorder is about 140 times higher than in the general population. Testosterone helps muscles grow, strengthens bones, and increases levels of hemoglobin in the blood, which benefits oxygen transport. Synthetic forms of testosterone are often used for doping. In case you think this pretty much settles the case that high testosterone levels are an unfair advantage for women, think again. Because the reason Martinez Patiño was assigned female at birth to begin with is that she has what's called complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. She has high levels of testosterone, yes, but her body doesn't react to it. After being banned from the Olympics, she appealed, arguing that she has no advantage from her elevated testosterone levels, and the ban was indeed lifted. However, there are other conditions that can lead to elevated testosterone levels in women. To make matters more complicated, there is a large natural variation in testosterone levels among both men and women, and since women with naturally high testosterone levels tend to perform well in sports, they are overrepresented among athletes. As a consequence, the testosterone distribution for male and female athletes has a big overlap. A paper published by researchers from Ireland and the UK in 2014 showed results of hormonal profiles of about 700 elite athletes across 15 sports. They found that 60.5% of men had low testosterone levels, 13.7% of women had high levels, and there was a significant overlap between them. So, as you see, the business with the testosterone levels is much more difficult than you might think, and that doesn't even touch the question how relevant it is.
So what she's basically saying is, it's really not the hormones that's the issue. That every case is unique and different.
Because it depends on how your body reacts to the hormones.
Yeah. So,
like the testosterone, this Spanish athlete's body just didn't react, and because her body didn't react to testosterone, the testicles weren't fully developed. The testes didn't, I'm not sure what the term is in English, but didn't
drop.
Go down.
Drop.
He didn't get a penis, etc. Any external male. Yeah. And I just checked the typical. Hang on, where did I get this? Yes, the IAAF, which is the International Association for Athletics Federation, who announced in 2018 in light of Caster Semenya's taking part in the track and field competitions in female series, when in fact Castor is intersex. So,
okay.
Yes, typical elite female athletes' testosterone levels range from 0.1 to 1.79 nanomoles per liter in butts, and then the typical male is 7.7 to 29.4, and the IAF says 5 nanomoles per liter is enough to compete in female series. And I'm trans. For those who do not know, I'm trans female. The last time I got my testosterone levels checked, it was 0.2 something, and all the Finnish trans women I've talked to who have disclosed this, their figures is being almost exclusive under 0.3. Some even had like 0.1. So if that's if with those levels you cannot compete in women's series, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
The advantages stemming from testosterone are particularly pronounced in disciplines that require upper body strength and less pronounced in those that test endurance. That said, let's then talk about the trans athletes. Transgender people don't identify with the sex they have been assigned at birth. Leaving aside the intersex conditions, this means a trans man was born biologically female and a trans woman was born biologically male. People who aren't trans are commonly referred to as cis. Some trans people undergo surgery and/or hormone therapy to adjust their physical appearance to their gender. The results of the transition treatment differ dramatically depending on whether it started before or after puberty. During puberty, boys grow significantly more than girls and they develop more muscles, whereas, to quote Meghan Trainor, women get all the right junk in all the right places. Physical changes during puberty are partly irreversible, and transitioning later will not entirely undo them.
That was cute.
In 1990,
cute
a
joke.
seminar convened by the
minute.
World Athletics Federation recommended
Whoa,
that
whoa,
any
whoa!
person who
Hey,
had
stop,
undergone
stop,
gender
stop, stop,
Yeah.
stop. She said this was back in the 1990s. She was yeah. I thought this looked a bit old. This video looked a bit old.
Well, the
But
video itself
she was
is
talking. This lady was talking about a conference taking place in 1990 something. So this is way over 20 years old.
yes, nearly 30 years old.
Nearly 30 years old. So why are we even watching this from a bit? I didn't realize this is like 25 to 30 years old.
Well,
Why?
because
This has no correlation to anything, well, almost anything we are talking about today, in modern times, because
well,
we know we've had 20 to 30 years more research.
that's because the last time they actually talked about this was about 30 years ago. They really don't. When talking about trans athletes, they're still going back on this research. In the US, at
There's
least.
been, there's been research since.
There has been research since, but they don't go based on that research, unfortunately.
Because they want to cherry pick.
Yeah, because they want to cherry pick. They don't want to go on the new research because we discovered so many things since then, but they're like, no, we're going to go based on the original.
Nuh-uh. The Bible was written 2,000 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's still true, every goddamn word of it.
I'm not saying any of it's true still. I'm not saying
didn't say
that.
you were.
They are.
I didn't say you're thinking that, but these dick shits are still. Apparently, these people are. I didn't realize. I mean, I've talked about this, but I've talked about just the facts. I haven't really engaged in the conversation, because I couldn't care less. But honestly, this is like the anti-vaxxers
Yeah.
referring back to the 1998 or something like that study so-called study that said vaccines cause autism.
Yeah, that was oh god, I can't
But
remember his name right now.
it was a British former doctor.
Yeah, who was
Yeah, he lost his license.
who
He
lost
had to
his
redact.
license.
Yeah, he had to say, okay, this is bullshit. I lied. I fabricated evidence, and he lost his license, etc.
Yeah.
Okay,
And they're
so
still
let's go.
going based on the older stuff because they don't really talk about it that much, unfortunately.
And because they have the confirmation bias.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go to the research that they don't care about the research done in 2000s and 2010s,
No, they don't.
because it doesn't support their own preconceived notion of trans trans women and women's sports ain't fair. We gotta protect the little girls. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, yeah. That's another subject we might
Yeah.
hit on as well.
At some point, maybe. But
Climate surgery.
Sorry.
just keep going.
Yeah, but yeah, they keep on going on the same older research that has no relevance today. Yet, here we are.
Before puberty should be accepted to participate under their new gender. This isn't particularly controversial. The controversial part is what to do with those who transition after puberty. The International Olympic Committee has been leading the way on passing regulations. In 2004, they ruled that transgender athletes are allowed to compete 2 years after surgical anatomical changes have been completed and if they've undergone hormonal therapy. This means in particular that trans women must have taken hormone therapy for at least 2 years.
Yep.
In 2021, the committee issued a framework that allows international federations to develop their own eligibility criteria for transgender and intersex athletes. So there's no simple rule that applies to all disciplines. But does the hormonal treatment make it fair for trans women to compete with cis women? Well, let's look at what science says. In 2019, a team of European researchers from the Netherlands, Norway, and Belgium measured the change in grip strength for trans people after a year of hormonal therapy. They had about 250 trans women and trans men each who participated in their study. So this isn't a huge sample, but decent. They found
decent
that
sized
grip
sample.
strength decreased in trans women by minus 1.8 kilogram, but increased in trans men by 6.1 kilogram.
Yeah.
In trans men, but not in trans women, the change in grip strength was associated with a change in lean body mass.
And
Hold it.
yeah,
Hold that thought.
I knew
Hold
where
that thought.
I knew where you're gonna want to pause it.
Okay. The testosterone limit for trans men. Okay. Or I
I know, because I know for a fact that whenever you go on estrogen, when you go on HRT for male
Yeah.
to female transgender, your muscle mass will decrease significantly. And when you go from female to male, your muscle mass increases because of the testosterone. Because whenever you go male to female, you're going on T blockers as well as estrogens, and
Yeah.
the testosterone blockers will decrease your muscle mass quite a bit.
I must add that back in the day, when there weren't, I'm talking about like the 70s, when they didn't really have the testosterone blockers that we have now. Trans women were prescribed an insane amount of estrogen, so that the estrogen also
Overpower.
would also act as a testosterone blockers. I've talked to a woman who had, I think, 18 or 20. She started with, I think, 20 milligrams of estrogen a day.
Oh, damn. That's
and
a
she
lot.
kept going. She kept going with, I think, 18 milligrams, 18 or 20 milligrams a day for 20 years. It's a miracle that she didn't get a stroke, like
Yeah,
right off the bat.
yeah, that's a
Like
lot.
it's crazy. I've actually had this lady on my channel twice.
Oh, nice.
She's a lovely lady. I mean, she's a wonderful, bright lady. Wonderful.
Awesome. But yeah, the muscle mass does decrease quite a bit whenever you go male to female, and it won't. From what I understood about this subject, it doesn't really affect. Well, it does. Actually, no, never. Strike that. Change. My mind is kind of foggy right now. Hypersomnia.
Yeah.
My hypersomnia kicked in this week. What I was trying to say, it makes you weaker essentially, and it doesn't. You don't maintain your muscle mass, especially after
No, you
two
do not.
years. Especially after 2 years,
Mm.
because there's a waiting.
gone way down.
Basically, there's a waiting period essentially where you have to be
2
on
years.
testosterone blockers as well as estrogen for 2 years in order to even compete. Meaning not only are you on these blockers and estrogen, you're not performing sports anymore because they won't allow you to, so the only thing you can do is go to the gym, essentially.
Yeah.
So you're not only going in there out of practice, you're going in there with your muscle mass decreased, your lung capacity decreased, quite a few things decreasing in, your physiological nature.
Yeah. The curious thing is about that I can't find any testosterone level limits for men
Yeah,
when it comes to sports.
yeah, there aren't any.
But I distinctly remember seeing um, seeing the a limit for men too, and I think it was 20 nanomoles per liter. If
Oh,
I'm not completely mistaken, I have vague recollection of something to do with 20
I think that has to do with
nanomoles per liter.
I think that has to do with steroid use mainly
Yeah, yeah,
because they have a lot of steroid use in sports, so they have to test their testosterone levels to see if it's abnormally high, and if it's abnormally high, that's usually due to the case of steroids.
yeah. I guess.
Because steroids are it's a testosterone booster is all steroids actually is, really. I mean,
I guess.
it boosts everything else, but steroids really just, mainly for athletes, they're looking for the testosterone boost to increase muscle mass.
Yeah.
So they have to
And
test their testosterone in order to make sure, oh, this person isn't on steroids.
yeah, because this also is probably to do with the steroids, but many I'm not familiar with how high the
I'm not sure
trans
either.
men testosterone levels usually be.
I believe usually from what I've read about the subject, they're around the same as a decreased level from any normal cis male.
Cisgender men.
Any cis male. It's usually lower than a cis male's
Yeah,
because I mean,
probably.
unless they go on steroids to supplement it, which
Yeah.
some do, especially trans athletes, the female to male trans athletes will go on steroids to supplement their testosterone because the testosterone they're given doesn't give them enough
Yeah.
to increase their muscle mass enough to be able to compete effectively.
Hmm.
So there is a little bit of steroid abuse in the trans male category, from what I've heard, but it could be conjecture, could be hearsay. I'm not 100% convinced of that,
Yeah.
but I've heard that is a thing that's happening. Which makes sense because they would want their testosterone levels to be higher in order to be able to compete. But it also kind of makes them a target for transphobic people to say, well, hey, look, he can't compete unless he has these steroids, and then that should open up use for steroids for cis
Yeah.
males.
Exactly. I've. Yeah.
It just,
Let's see. Yeah. Look, I'll just have a look at in the chat. Uh, because I want to have a. I just demand to have a chat, have a look at the chat because there are people talking to us
yeah.
in the chat. Say there's Nimrod saying, "Oh fuck, I worked with a woman who believed the autism bullshit. Nobody listened to her. It was such nonsense." I've um, worked with someone who has weird, weird, some really weird ideas about vaccines.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to.
yeah, and yeah, there's some. So Nimrod in this replying to me, oh, so my doctors are just full of bullshit again. They also told me my diabetic tablets couldn't make me vomit every day after months of taking them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, diabetic tablets will do that.
In reference to Nimrod taking pills that having um, made, doing interesting things to Nimrod's chest.
It's just supposed to stop the irritating fluid. Nothing you know about it said it was a T blocker. So I
Yeah,
thought I'd get
because
look up before
yeah,
taking my heart pressure meds.
Jens was saying it seems it is not super rare. It was supposed to be. Nimrod was told it's something like it's super rare for funny things to happen to the chest
Oh yeah,
area. With
I need to switch to live chat if that.
yeah, and
I hate that.
uh, Nimrod replies to Jens, "That's what my doctors told me, and they said it never really happens, and that I am wrong as always, cunts."
Yeah.
Bowie says, "Why do people care so much about all outdated research with get get with the times?" Yeah, do not know. Because they have confirmation bias because they are
Well,
stuck. They're
look at
stuck in the past.
look at flat earthers. They're going based on like 10,000-year old research, not even
Yeah,
quote unquote research.
yeah. Do your own research means when translated to normal language, it means I watched someone else's video
No,
on YouTube.
I have an actual definition for quote unquote do your own research.
Hmm.
Search on the internet to try to find something that confirms your bias, and then use that
Yeah,
as quote unquote research. Because that's all they do.
yeah.
They find stuff that will confirm their bias and ignore things that completely,
Did you just see the Dr. Dave destroyed a
Oh,
flat earther?
Dearth, yeah, he
Yeah.
completely destroyed Dearth. Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay, just a moment. Hey Google, tell me a joke.
The broom was late for our meeting today. It said it overswept.
Yep.
Oh god. And Stellarium Celestia, Tia, says, I would argue that Sam's muscle mass increased after her transition, although the amount she works out is more than likely the reason. Yeah, if you work out a lot, yeah, your muscle mass is going to increase.
Nimrod says, but Spiro, it's just supposed to stop me retaining fluid. Nothing, and nobody ever said it was a T blocker. I thought it didn't wake up with wood was because of my heart pressure meds.
Yeah,
Look, Nimrod, in the
that's,
United States of assholes, spironolactone is the go-to testosterone blocker.
yeah, Spiro is the go-to.
Because what
Most
the
CrossFit.
the undercore, which is typically the go-to option in Europe, but spironolactone is getting a bit more, is getting, gains in popularity
Getting more
because
popular, yeah.
it's better,
It's an
but
anti-androgen, yeah. The Sinister
it's an
porpoise, yeah.
anti-androgen. Yes,
I was about to bring
it's
that up
used.
actually.
It's yeah. In the US, it's the go-to one because the undercore is banned in the US. You cannot get it in the US because it's bad for your liver, uh, among other things.
Yeah, I've heard it's really bad for your liver and
Yeah,
can
it's
cause
really bad for your
cancer.
liver, and pretty much like 99.9% of trans women use Spiro
Yeah.
as T blocker in the US and in many other countries. But in the EU, it's uh, be- I had the fortune of getting Spiro as T
Oh.
blocker, but it's used as a to remove fluid in smaller doses, but in big doses, like 100 plus milligrams a day, it's a T blocker too.
Yeah.
Shall we go with the video? We got on a sidetrack.
Yeah, let's continue.
So it seems that hormonal therapy does more for trans men than for trans women. Another team of researchers from Sweden followed 11 untrained trans women and 12 untrained trans men before and up to 1 year after gender affirming hormonal therapy. They found that in trans women, thigh muscle volume decreased by 5% and quadriceps cross-sectional area decreased by 4%, but muscle density remained unchanged and they roughly maintained their strength levels. In trans men, on the other hand, thigh muscle volume increased by 15%, quadriceps cross-sectional area also increased by 15%, muscle density increased by 6%, and they saw increased strength levels. Again, it seems that hormonal therapy does more for trans men than for trans women. It'd be rather tedious to list all the papers, so let me just say that this finding has been reproduced numerous times. A meta-analysis from March last year surveyed 24 studies and concluded that even after 36 months of hormonal therapy, the values for strength, lean body mass and muscle area in trans women remained above those of cis women. These numbers aren't directly applicable to athletes because in the general population,
Hold it
trans
there.
men
Hold
have
it
an
there.
incentive.
Yeah.
Above those of cisgender women, are we comparing trans women who had a professional athlete background or otherwise had other non-competitive sports experience uh, before transitioning versus the cis women in the same with the same background, or are we talking about non-athletic trans women, athletic cis women, uh, athletic trans women versus non-athletic cis women?
I
Because
don't
there is a
know.
huge difference.
I honestly don't know.
Uh,
And Sinister Porpoise says, I expect there will be differences depending on the sport. And who is this? This is another case. They're focusing on one study. Yeah, it seems that way. It looks like, well, they're focusing on 24 different studies, apparently.
they are referring, actually this one from British Journal of Sports Medicine is from 2021. Actually, they are
Yeah,
referring to that they're not in 1990s anymore.
yeah. Well, they started off
But
like in the
who?
beginning. Yeah,
Yeah, but who is this lady who produced this video? Because she doesn't. She sounds. Uh, one. She. This person sound. Sabine Hosenfelder is. Yeah, I thought the. It's. She sounds German.
yeah.
Yeah. Please, please go on.
To build muscles, while trans women have an incentive trying to lose it. But those studies pretty much agree that hormone therapy makes a faster difference for trans men than for trans women, and after 3 years, the difference hasn't entirely disappeared. There is basically no data on what this hormone treatment does in the long run. A 2021 paper from Brazil suggests that after about 15 years, differences between trans and cis women have basically disappeared. But this was a very small study with only 8 participants. And in any case, if you
8.
ask athletes...
Hold
12,
it here,
15
hold it here,
8
hold it,
people
hold it,
is
hold
a
it.
terrible sample size.
Yes, and second of all, how okay, 15 years is a lot. And she was saying, uh, in the long run, 3 years plus. 3 years is nothing
Yeah, 3
in
years is
this.
nothing. Yeah, 3 years
In
is
this
nothing.
in this setting, 3 years is a very, very short time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on hormones for, I think, nine years now, and I I mean, it's still a short time, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, 9 years is a lot. I mean, it's a lot still compared to 3. It's 9 years is on HRT is hell of a lot more than 3.
Yeah.
The long term effects that I got, the last, it started accumulating up to maybe, shall we say, 5 years. The long term effects came in with 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Yeah. So doesn't and 8 for a scientific study, and how in the good Lord did these people get this sort of article peer reviewed?
Yeah, that's what I'm
If
wondering
it's
too.
even from a if it's even a
Peer-reviewed source.
peer reviewed source. Let's see what Journal of Endocrine Science. Endocrine.
Alvarez et al. Journal of Endocrine Society 5. 2020 A792.
Endocrine Science. Okay. Endocrine Society Journals. Endocrine org. This. I don't know.
I'm pulling that up
Can I say
myself.
it doesn't? Who knows? Um,
Journal
we got
of...
yeah. Actually, diabetes mellitus, or diabetes type 2 diabetes in transgender individuals. Also, they've had a journal article. That's
Scholarly
maybe
articles.
something that I wanna do, that I do want to talk about on my channel at some point. But yes,
Academic... Let's see now.
but is it peer this article in question? Is it peer reviewed?
An open access publication, meaning usually these type... Well, this is from Oxford Academic.
So I would
I
assume
don't
it's quite
know.
legit. It could be.
It's in Oxford Academic, so I'm gonna see Oxford Academic.
Oxford Academic. That doesn't really sound too good. Okay, this is so.
Reliable.
Okay, tell you what, this is so weird that I need some more beer. I'll be back.
It's Oxford Academic peer reviewed. All submissions to the journal are initially reviewed by one of the editors. At this stage, manuscripts may be rejected without peer review if it is felt they are not of high enough priority or not relevant to the journal. So it seems they are peer reviewed. And is a scholarly source. Oxford model applies to the majority of the journals. The OUP is a member of the Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association. And Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association, is that peer reviewed? Let me search Google for them. It seems it has been peer reviewed. So yeah, I would take this journal.
Okay,
at
what
its
do
word.
what do we know now?
Okay, it seems it has been peer reviewed, and I would take it. I would take it with a grain of salt, essentially.
Okay.
As in, for the most part, I would trust it, but not for everything. If you get what I'm saying.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not trustworthy, but it's not 100% trustworthy at the same time. In other words, up in the air. It's up in the air, if that makes sense in your language. Yeah, let's continue on.
Years,
Okay.
they'll be too old for the Olympics. So let us come back to the question whether it's fair.
But yeah, after
Whether it's fair? Come on. Are you fucking kidding me?
I was about to
I
say
mean-
that usually by the end of the transition, by the time they have, done the 2 years of hormone therapy, it's usually too late in their gymnastic careers to actually be a good, athlete.
Yeah.
So they've already, unless you've started hormone blockers and everything early, like really early in your teens or in your early 20s at the very least,
Yeah.
by the time you're eligible to actually compete, you're already past your prime, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, but Pearl Hubbard is 44 years old now,
Yeah.
and she competed. Was it the Summer Olympics were last year, wasn't it? So
I
she would have been 43.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's all.
2020 Olympics. 2020 Olympics, which actually took place last year because of the pandemic.
That's
So,
a bit that is a bit old to be competing.
June 2021. Uh, yeah, June 2021. The Kiwi Olympic Committee confirmed that she'll be taking part, and then a while later, then she took. But she, to be fair, she failed miserably. So,
Yeah.
but I don't blame her. I mean, it's not her age.
No.
It's not. I don't think it's the fact that she was 43 years old at the time. She she has performed just fine, but
And I have
the
to
amount, it was just her nerves. I mean, she had been getting so many death threats, so much harassment, death threats, other sorts of threats, harassment, etc., etc. So it got on her nerves, and she failed miserably. That's it.
I also have to point out in the chat where Bowie said most men that can contort their bodies in crazy ways are born double jointed is not a thing. There's actually no such thing as quote unquote double jointed individuals. That's just
What the fuck is a double jointed individual?
people claim that you're quote unquote double jointed if you're flexible, like highly flexible. Which,
Yeah, it's hyper. It doesn't have to. It does. You don't have double joint. You just that. It's just hyper flexibility.
yeah, and that can happen
Hyperflexibility,
in male
that's it.
or that can happen in men and women, cis and
Yeah.
trans alike.
Yeah.
It's just
So it has nothing to do with gender or age.
yeah, it has nothing to do with
And someone-
with age or your sexuality, your gender. It has nothing to do with anything.
Do
It
we?
has to do with practice.
Yeah, and Bowie says women in their 90s can still contort their body in crazy ways.
Men too.
Yeah, men too. Yeah.
That has nothing to do with gender or
Yeah.
sex or anything. It has to do with practice. If you practice doing that your entire life, you're gonna be able to do it. I mean, that's just people are crazy. Some people are crazy flexible, and
Indeed.
usually that has to do with a lot of practice. It's not something you're born with. It's not something that you just
Nope.
have. You have to practice at it. It's a skill just like any other.
Yeah. You can't. It's like driving a car. You just can't drive a car automatically.
Yeah,
You just
it's just like any gymnastic sport, any sport at all. You have to practice at to get good at. I mean, I've seen
just
I've seen piano players that are just crazy with their fingers. I mean, but you can't just do that. You can't just sit in front of a piano and instantly learn how to play Bach's like Ninth Concerto or whatever.
yeah. I mean, having twisty fingers doesn't, or having crazy skilled fingers for for whatever reason, uh, doesn't mean you can play piano. And just because you play piano doesn't mean you have crazy twisty fingers
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
yeah,
Bowie says, "Sorry for the misinformation." Yes,
yeah. No
it's just
problem.
physically,
No problem with that.
it's physically impossible for a person to have two joints in, like two knee joints in one, or two wrists in one. Okay, polydactyly is a thing, but that doesn't have anything to do with the joint.
Yeah, yes, Tia, exactly. You've heard her. I've heard Tia play guitar before. They didn't manage that overnight. That took years and years of practice. Just like whenever I used to play bass guitar, I didn't just pick up the bass guitar and instantly know how to play it. It took me years of practice just to be able to get the easiest licks
Some get
down.
it a bit easier. Some get it a bit easier than others.
Yeah, some pick
I
it
mean,
up faster. Yeah,
if you look at certain athletes, musicians, singers, for example,
yeah, some pick it
it
up faster. Some people it takes time. It takes more
yeah.
time
For
for others.
example, I want to take up Floor Jansen, the Nightwish vocalist. I mean, there was a there was a sound tech who from a venue she played with after forever when she was like 17 or 18, like 17, 18, 19, and they had issues with their automatic feedback, the feedback loop, and he had to go manual tuning from,
Like
or
I'll bring up. Have you seen the
because they
movie?
didn't have, at the time they didn't have the in-ear monitors. So they had the ones on the floor. And when the lady is uh, 1.9 meters tall, that's like 6.5 feet, and the venue is small, and you have a voice like hers, he had a horrible time trying to, uh, because he hardly knew their songs, so he had to do
Like
it manually, because there was a phenomenon called Floor Jansen, because her voice is so grandiose.
I was about to say, if you've seen the movie The Fifth Element, everyone remembers the opera scene where
Yes,
the aliens standing up there,
yeah,
and a lot of people thought, that was auto tune, that was, a computer doing that. No, that was her
it wasn't.
natural voice. That was Maywin Lebesco's natural voice. She actually sang that
Yeah.
completely on her own, and I was blown away because I was like, I thought it was auto tuned myself when I first heard it, but then I actually looked it up
Autotune
to
doesn't
see.
sound like that because it just flattens out.
Yeah,
Uh, it flattens out the curve.
yeah,
At so,
that's what auto tune is supposed to do. It flattens it out so that way it's what's the word? So it's auto tuned.
It's
It tunes your voice to the
440 hertz.
yeah, it modifies your voice so it's more in tune with the music, so it sounds better. Well,
But it sounds flatter.
supposed to sound better, quote unquote.
Yeah, because but it sounds as good as Flat Earth.
Well, some of Cher's songs are auto tuned and they sound decent.
Yes, decent. Okay, but we are off the track. Let's
Yeah,
go to
let's
the
go
video.
back. Yeah.
For trans women to compete with cis women. It seems
It's
clear
all
from
about
the
practice.
data
All
that
about
trans
practice.
women keep an advantage over cis women even after several years of hormonal therapy. I guess that means it isn't fair in the sense that no amount of training that cis women can do is going to make up for male puberty. But then athletic competition has never been fair in that sense. To begin with, let's not forget that for athletic performance, the most important factor isn't your sex, it's your age. And some
Yeah.
people are born with an
Exactly.
advantage at certain types of sports. Being
Yeah.
male is only one of them. Usain Bolt has long legs, Michael Phelps has big feet, and American basketballers are tall,
Oh.
really tall.
Even the women.
Here's the American under-16 women's basketball team with the team from El Salvador. The Americans won 114-19. Is
Oh.
that fair?
Yeah.
And those are just the visible differences. There are also factors like bone density, cardiac output, or lung volume that are partly genetically determined. I never had a chance to become an Olympic swimmer. Is that fair? No,
Yes.
athletes are biological extremes. Fairness
Yeah.
has never been the point of these competitions. They're really more like freak shows, kind of like.
Yeah, fairness has never.
Yes, freak show.
in
It's
a-
a freak show.
in
Freak
a-
show. Yes. Yes, lady, you are right. It's a fucking freak show.
In
There you go.
Olympics.
There we have the answer to that one.
No. She actually has a point there. In the athletes, wow. In the Olympics, it really is a freak show because you have people who, in a normal society, would stand out, as having all these different features that the
Yeah.
normal person doesn't have. So, in essence, it is a freak show, really, because these are people that are extremely well endowed in specific areas. Like basketball players are usually at least 6'6" to 8 foot tall individuals. There are some people that are about 8 foot tall playing basketball. I know my gym teacher wanted me to play basketball because I was 6'5", 6'6" in high school.
Yeah.
And so my
Uh-huh.
my basketball teacher was like, he was begging me to play because of how tall I am.
But you just didn't wanna.
No, I'm just not. I've never been athletically inclined.
No.
I have never had an interest in athletics.
Yeah.
So I've never had the motivation to.
Hey, look, I'm posting my Laurel Hubbard links to the chat if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. Crap.
Just shitting myself out. Just go check my channel, Heidi's Corner.
Yeah, go to Heidi's
There are
Corner.
links,
Go
and
like
I
and subscribe.
I have a number of other trans and sports related videos so far. And I would highly recommend watching also, if you are interested, watching my 2 videos with conspiracy cats. I have 2 of them. So
Nice.
go there, check out. That's my oldest, and then my 3rd video on my channel are with conspiracy cats.
Nice.
And I've got Bob the Science Guy, etc. on my channel.
That's another person we need to get on one day is
Bob.
Science guy.
Yeah.
He could definitely help in these.
Yeah, he's a really great guy. I mean, he really is. He's always calm, cool, and collected. He's very knowledgeable. We talked about the diversity of biological sex and internal medicine. It was a really interesting one. Shall I post that one as well?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll give that
It
one a
was
watch later. I'll give that one a watch
yeah.
later. After the stream and everything.
Okay.
I'm actually interested in watching that one.
Yeah, and I might as well just yeah, you tell you what, you can go and knock yourself out and for the rest of the videos. I'm not gonna. I have like 149 videos,
Yeah,
so most of which are live streams. So I've got like 150 hours of shit. So
yeah, that's enough for a whole month of watching.
yeah, you after this one you can go and binge watch my shit,
Yeah,
but
go binge
when you
watch
do,
Eddie's shit.
but when you do, please subscribe.
Yes, please
I
subscribe.
would really appreciate that because I was hoping to get 100 subscribers by the end of May, but I didn't. I've been doing this since September of 2020, and I have 98 subscribers. So
Yeah, she really
I'm
needs
a bit
subscribers.
disappointed. Yeah.
She really needs more subscribers. So yeah, let's get on with it.
Like physics
right.
conferences, basically. There's another aspect to consider, which is that these competitions should also entertain. I guess this is why the researcher Joanna Harper, who's a trans athlete herself, has suggested we talk about meaningful competition instead of fair competition. We have historically segregated men and women in sporting events because otherwise competition becomes too predictable, too boring. In some disciplines, we have further categories for the same reason, like in weightlifting and boxing. Now we're asking if not we need additional categories for trans athletes. All right,
No,
we
we do
could do
not. I
this.
don't think
No,
so.
But if
I
you
don't think so
follow
either.
this logic
It
to
would
its
it would be
conclusion, then really the only person
Segregation
well,
is not the answer. It's never been the answer.
yes. Look, segregation. No,
Yeah,
I would
but
assume that
simply.
this lady. I have a good reason to assume that this lady is German or Austrian, and Germany and Austria have a very bad track record when it comes
Comes to trans people, yeah.
no, they have a very bad track record when it comes to segregating groups of people.
Oh yeah, that happened in the 40s, didn't it?
Yeah, 20s, 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah, 20s,
They have
30s,
a
and 40s were
very bad.
really bad at
Yeah,
segregation.
yeah. You know, Jews and Holocaust and shit. So
I
they
was
had a.
trying to allude to that without actually saying it, but yes.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen in the 20s. It's 30s and 40s. Yeah, but they had a very bad track record with segregation where she's from.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
Yeah, but hey, this is not about that shit. So
No, it's not. Yeah, that's
just go forward.
you
yeah.
can compete with is yourself. Or you will have to try and measure every single parameter that contributes to athletic performance in a given discipline and then try to adjust for it. The result may be that the person who comes in last in a race is the winner after you adjust for heart valve issues, testosterone levels, age, slightly misaligned legs, under average lung volume, and a number of other different conditions. And that would be
Well, at least
fair in the sense that
well,
Hold it there.
at least she's against
Long,
segregation. At least she is against segregation from the sounds of
yeah,
it.
but yeah, but the thing here is that I think because we just had the example of the basketball teams of the 16-year-olds,
Yeah.
like like the South American team was barely elbow height to the Americans.
Yeah.
There is no way if you really tried to take, she has the drawer behind, pull out drawer behind her. If we had each and every discipline of medicine, uh, and we opened each box, I think we would eliminate a good third of the cis women from these competitions.
Yeah.
because the variation between the humankind is so vast.
Physiology.
Physiology. I had a chat with some years ago with family with an extended family member who's from born and raised in South Africa. One, she was saying telling me, have you look which countries the best marathon and long distance other the long distance runners are from. The women they have they the white and Asian the Caucasian and Asian women could never compete in the same league with them.
Yeah.
Uh, Look at Jamaicans. She had that as an example. She told me this when during the slave trade, when the black people the Africans were shipped to the U.S. and well elsewhere, but in this case the U.S., the North America and Canada, and what is now Canada. When the slavery ended, and even before that, the freed slaves went to the Caribbean, and the she said that the Jamaicans are the ultimate quote unquote ultimate race for sports. Usain Bolt, look
Yeah.
at him,
Yeah.
he's Jamaican, and other Jamaican athletes.
Yep.
So they are strong, they're tall, muscular, fast, strong, short running, long running,
But you've got to also look at
javelin, wrestling, weightlifting, everything. You name it, shot put, everything. They are good.
you also have to look at their diets as well because suffice it to say, a Jamaican is going to have a better diet than say an American because most Americans we live off fast food. it's,
60 something percent of Americans are overweight.
overweight. Yeah, even our athletes are a little bit chubby.
On the choppier side.
We're a little bit on the chubbier side. Even our athletes are because they.
On the choppier side.
Because
They're on the
diets.
American
Diet.
American athletes on combat sports, say judo, wrestling, boxing, etc. They're on the heavier series.
Yeah, because they eat high protein diets to increase muscle
No,
mass.
high fat diets.
High fat diets. Excuse me. Yeah, because the fat gets absorbed into the body quicker and goes to your
Yeah.
muscle mass a lot quicker if you're working out quite a bit
Yeah,
and taking
Exactly.
steroids.
yeah,
Because the steroid will
yeah.
convert that
Precisely.
fat, convert that fat
Yeah.
really quick. in
Anyway,
muscle.
yeah, but Americans don't really have so many runners, for example.
Yeah, we don't. We really don't. That's mostly the African nations as well as Asia and
And
Central
yeah,
Europe. Central Europe.
yeah, and Jamaicans, Caribbeans,
Caribbean, yeah,
as well.
Caribbeans, yeah, Caribbeans,
Yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, so that's why Americans are so goddamn good in ice hockey
And swimming.
and swimming. Yeah.
Americans are
Anyway.
excellent in swimming.
Yeah. Okay, let's go with the video.
Yeah.
Now everyone had a chance to win provided they trained hard enough. But would people still watch it? The question of entertainment brings up another issue. Most of the sport disciplines that are currently widely broadcast favor biological characteristics typically associated with men, with the possible exception of long-distance swimming. But generally, sex differences decrease the more emphasis a discipline puts on endurance rather than strength.
Yeah.
A
Hold
2019
it. Hold
study
this
among
thought. Hold this
casual
thought.
athletes found
Hold this one. Hold. It depends on which country you live in.
Yeah.
Your country of residence affects greatly on the sports that are broadcast on television.
Like I'll mention this. Like again, it goes back to diet. Like
Mhm.
Germany has a more high protein diet than say America because They just eat more. They eat more meat.
Currywurst.
Yeah, bratwurst mainly, but and
Currywurst is different.
uh,
But yes, they just currywurst and bratwurst. Yeah,
and Japan has a more fish-centric diet.
yeah,
China has
and
a
they're
more
smaller.
soy-based diet,
Yeah,
but every country has more of a different type of diet than other countries. Because
and soy gives you estrogen. Soy gives men estrogen and makes you infertile, and make you a fucking faggot or something, or even worse, a tranny.
yeah, yeah, like
But hey,
yeah,
okay, let's keep going with the video. I just want to see more.
yeah.
Found that men still have an edge over women in marathons, but somewhere between 100 and
Soy
200
boy.
miles, women begin to win out. Though this currently doesn't reflect in the world records where men are still leading, it seems that men have less of an advantage in endurance disciplines. Which
Mhm.
brings up the question, why don't we see more of such sporting events? I don't know for sure, but personally, I find it hard to think of something more boring than watching someone run 200 miles.
Yeah,
So maybe the solution
Yeah.
is that in the end, we'll all just do esports. But let's come back to the
esports are
trans
fun.
athletes. Researchers from the University of California estimated in 2017 that the percentage of transgender people in the United States is about 0.4%. A similar estimate for
I've
Brazil
seen.
puts the number there
Hold,
at
hold that
about
thought. Hold. I've seen different stats. I've seen America 0.8. The last time I saw the Dimrod says, "Hi, this corner. Did I just hear you being a bigot?" No, I'm not a bigot.
She was
I-
joking. She was joking.
Yeah. Okay. Because distinctly remember talking about this with my former teacher not so long ago. Uh, I need to Google this. Is this transgender population size in the United States? Doesn't yeah, just gone off the top of my head. Okay, this is no, this is not what I was looking for. Not what I was looking for really, because remember. Okay, perhaps the best current estimate provided by Flores et al., which is probably which I refer to, that 0.6% of US adults, approximately 560 per 100,000, identify as transgender. Flores, this is from Williams Institute.law.ucla.edu. Flores, Herman, Gates, Brown. So there we have it. Please go. So it's really, that is really small amount, because that doesn't really portray the that doesn't really convey the reality. It's half as much as you would assume. Okay, and National College Health Assessments has instead of 598 per 100,000, it's more than twice that in 2016. Another study. So there we have it. Okay, please continue with the video.
0.7%. If these numbers are roughly correct, transgender people are currently underrepresented in elite level sports. That isn't fair either. This is why I think sporting associations are doing the right thing by putting forward regulations based on the best available scientific evidence, and as long as athletes comply with them, they shouldn't have to shoulder accusations of unfair competition. That said, professional sports associations will soon have a much bigger problem. Like that or not, genetic engineering has become reality. And as long as athletes can make a lot of money from having a genetic advantage, someone's going to breed children who will bring in that money. This is why I
Yeah.
suspect a century from now, professional athletics will not
Uh,
exist anymore. It creates too many incentives.
Okay. First of all, I would like to step on a comment. Stellarium Celestia says Brazil. Oh, great. A country full of flirts. Brazil
Yeah.
is statistically the most dangerous country for transgender people. I think it's something like a half of all reported murders of transgender people happen in Brazil.
Yeah.
Three most three most dangerous countries in the world, according to statistics provided by the Transgender Day of Remembrance, uh, the foundation that is behind that. That I think 60 or 65%, 60 or 70% of all, something between 60 and 70% of all murders of trans people occur in Brazil, Mexico, and the United States of America. 1 year, the youngest was from the United States of America, 13 years old, and then a 15
It's,
and 17-year-olds in the US.
well, the U.S. is just the most dangerous country, except for maybe when talking about gun deaths. U.S. is pretty much close to at least in the top five. I want to say at least in the top five. I can't remember exactly the entire list, but Somalia is one of the top ones as far as gun deaths go. But if the U.S. is pretty bad with death in general.
And the death industry, you know, your body can be very much be mistreated.
Yeah,
There was
yeah.
a, a report of a transgender woman who passed. I can't, like, just for the love of me, I cannot remember why, but she had been renowned, yeah, what do you call it? Renounced by her family. Um, so her family no longer recognized that she existed. Um, but when she died, all of a sudden, I think her mother had died already, but her father was, due to hitherto unknown reasons, the next of kin. So he took this poor girl's body. She had transitioned years earlier.
Yeah.
He took the body, and when the funeral came, there was a viewing. The father had had her long hair cut and had her dressed in a men's suit for the viewing, disgraced in death.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
So,
That's fucked up. That is fucked up.
Nimrod says, so countries of high religion and low levels of free education are the most dangerous countries in the world. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not shocked. US has one of the lowest levels of free education.
Yeah, we do. Unfortunately, we do.
You can get elementary school for free, and you can't even get lunch at school. So
Yeah. Oh, anyway, let's finish up this video. There's only like
yeah,
a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
For unethical behavior. I hope this brief summary has helped you to make sense of a somewhat confusing situation. Let us know
Not
what
really,
you think
no.
in the comments.
not really.
If
No,
you like to watch
not
sports
confusing.
events in other countries, but they're blocked where you are, NordVPN can
Oh,
help.
it's just an advertisement. Okay,
Yeah,
that's it.
not VPN. Yeah, but it's very it's very confusing.
Well, no, I'm saying her video on the subject didn't really said anything straight. It's just it made it got rid of a slight tiny bit of the confusion, but she didn't really get into a lot
She
of
gave us
stuff.
she presented us the confusion, but didn't give any.
Yeah,
Shall we
exactly.
say? Yeah, she didn't get any tools to
Answers.
solve it.
Any
Really, no.
answers?
Any answers? No, but she just presented the confusion that exists.
Yeah, pretty much. She just presented confusion and like, yeah, that's it. That's why everyone's confused about the subject. No answers, no, suggestions on how to fix it. No, just explaining the confusion.
Yeah,
And
here's the
everything.
confusion. Here's the confusion, and this is why.
Yeah,
So fuck off.
yeah, pretty much. But
You
yeah,
know,
but
it's just a minute. I need really just keep talking, keep talking. I need to open the window or the balcony door. It's fucking
okay.
hot in here.
Okay, well it's hot in here too, so yeah. But yeah, don't really know what to say because we've already pretty much covered the entire subject. I really wouldn't have. I don't have any ideas of what we could actually do because segregation is not an answer at all. It's just there's no. I mean, there's no recourse that could be took to fix any of the problems.
Tell you what, it's 26.1 degrees Celsius in this room. So that would be, my dear friends, 78.9 degrees Fahrenheit. So
It's over 100 here.
yeah, and my AIO liquid is probably boiling already.
It's close to 100 degrees where I live, so yeah, it's hot. That's why I have the AC running right now.
Mm.
I'm just glad y'all can't.
We don't
hear
really need the AC.
I'm just glad y'all can't hear it because it's loud.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really need any AC here. I mean, if we need something, it's something to warm up the apartments most of the year. So because last winter was bad enough. It was minus 25 Celsius.
Yeah. Cool.
Uh,
But yeah, like I said, we really don't have any solution. I mean, there's no real solutions to the problem except for combining them instead of to go the extreme opposite of segregation and have everyone compete equally.
yeah.
But then that would give a lot of advantage towards men because, let's face it, men do have a lot of physiological characteristics that are, what's the word, superior to females, at least in
Depends.
sports.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah, true as well. It depends on who you ask. It also depends on, like I said earlier, the person's diet, the person's exercise routine, the person's practice, as well as a lot of other circumstances that could put women ahead in certain sports. Because women are advantageous in certain sports to men.
Exactly.
Like
And this is taking me a lot of beer actually today. I'm drinking my second one.
Oh God.
The first one was a really fine Belgian beer, brown ale type. I'm not sure. I think it was ale type thing. It was 11% alcohol, and this one is 9%. And this is one of those Trappist beers made in an abbey, actual abbey.
I heard Finnish beer is really expensive.
This is Belgian beer.
Belgian. Oh,
Belgian
okay.
beer. We don't have abbeys in Finland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. We're not Catholic. This country is. I mean, the Catholics are a small minority. Like 1% of Finns are
okay.
Catholic. Mostly Protestants. Mostly Lutheran. 75, 85% Lutherans. Then we have the rest is like 5% Eastern Orthodox, Russian Eastern Orthodox, and then we have these small ones like Catholics, Muslims, Jehovah's Witnesses, etc.
And I just realized I paused on the perfect O face there, didn't I?
Hmm.
I paused on her O face. Great.
But anyway, beer is insanely expensive, and any alcohol for that matter.
Yeah,
It's
I've heard.
insanely expensive. I mean, actually, I was surprised when I went to the liquor store today to get these because and it's really very highly regulated anyway. Because
I really don't drink
you
that
can
much.
buy alcohol between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Monday to Saturday. No alcohol, and then the alcohol you can buy in supermarkets and regular grocery stores is 5.5% maximum. The rest you have to buy in state owned liquor stores, which are opened something like between until 6 or 7 p.m. Opening 9 or 10 a.m. Open until 6 or 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday.
Yeah,
No liquor stores open on Sundays.
that's the way it is here. Where I live, you can't buy anything, well, any alcohol on Sundays. That's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Also,
the,
also
yeah.
one funny thing about where I live, which if you Google this, you will find out exactly where I live because we're the only state that does this. Alcohol stores are not allowed to advertise, by name because I don't know why. I never understood why, but they go by what's called a red dot store. And basically they have a giant red dot above their sign where, at above the
Yeah.
shop. And
Yeah.
we call them red dot stores because it's got a giant red dot there. Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know this when I moved down to Florida that's considered racist because a lot of people that run liquor stores down there are Indian, not
Uh-huh.
not Native American Indian, Indian, as in many of them.
Delhi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Delhi.
like Delhi and Mumbai Indian.
Yeah, and I
Uh-huh.
didn't realize this when I said when I suggested we go to the Red Dot store. My partner then looked at me like in absolute shock and disgust, and I had to explain to her, what I meant by that, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And then when we came down to South
Yeah.
Carolina, well, yeah, South Carolina, she actually saw for herself. She's like, "Oh, I thought you were joking, but yeah, that's a red dot. There's no name on the store. It's just a red dot." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't, making that up. We go by the Red Dot store. That's the name of the alcohol store. It's
Yeah.
the Red Dot store.
Basically the liquor store that we have here in the state, the one and only liquor store that we have is called Alko, which is basically short for state Valtion alkoholiliike or something like that. Which is like state liquor store. It's just basically short for state liquor store. So and it's been pretty much the same. How it operates has been pretty much the same since the what do you call it the prohibition, since the prohibition law ended in 1930 something, 1933. So basically but the funny thing is that you cannot advertise alcohol on television. I
Yeah,
don't think you can I mean, you can advertise something. No, I don't think you can. You might be able to advertise like some wine, maybe, but in a vague way. If I'm not okay, let's just say that you cannot advertise alcohol on television. You cannot advertise tobacco.
Yep.
on television.
Yep.
You cannot advertise prescription meds, which you do in America. I know you do. You
Yeah,
get
that we get that
ads
all the
for
time. All the time.
yeah. Here it's illegal because there, then that makes people go to the doctor's office and say, I need this and this pill, that and that much, give me that. And then if the doctor doesn't give you that, uh the patient will sue the doctor because
Yeah.
the TV ad says that this works for what I have. That's one of the reasons. That's a good reason
That's a great
why
reason.
we.
That's a great reason.
That's one of the reasons we've banned. It's not. It's forbidden. It's banned to add
Yeah.
uh, uh,
Now,
prescription meds. You can, of course, you can.
request it.
Yeah, you can request it, but you have to know the name of the specific medication because you have to look it up on the internet.
And what happens if, say, you have other conditions that medication would have an interaction with your other medications, and then Yeah.
How the that would be something that the
Doctor
doctor
would know.
that
Yeah.
only the doctor would know.
exactly.
And if the that certain that specific doctor cannot give you the answer, but he or she knows that
Someone else. Oh,
there is cross interaction with another group of medication,
Yeah.
that with the group of medication that this patient is already taking, then they refer it to someone else who knows
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, they'll refer you to someone else. That's why say, if you're an American, say, and you request a certain medication, and the doctor says, well, the doctors
Yeah,
usually will tell you, oh, if you're taking this medication, because they'll usually know what medications you're on whenever you go to a doctor.
yeah.
That'll probably have a bad interaction with this medicine, so I'm going to prescribe you this instead. I usually go with the doctor's recommendation.
Yeah.
I won't go out and say, "Oh, I want this specific medication because I saw a commercial for it." No,
Yeah,
I'm going to
and
trust the
there's-
doctor.
yeah.
I'm going to trust the damn doctor.
Yeah, there's Nimrod saying that's that's a Nordic thing about alcohol-free beer and prescription meds as our European ban. Yeah, it's probably a European Union ban on
But
prescription
yeah,
meds.
I don't. I mean,
Uh,
whenever I see
and
an
then
advert
there's
medicine, it's just ugh.
there's alcohol. What ads are forbidden are prescription meds, alcohol, tobacco, guns, yeah, for example. But gambling is allowed. Gambling ads are allowed. They do because there's only one. There's a state owned a gambling monopoly. So no other gambling companies are allowed in Finland, except that one that is state owned, and they are allowed to advertise on TV. They advertise on TV, newspapers, outside kiosks, grocery stores, etc., etc., and radio.
It's funny though.
So
It's funny though because in the U.S. at least, I remember as a kid growing up seeing lots of commercials for cigarettes.
yeah,
But then around 1997, they passed a law stating that, that's no
like
longer
federal.
allowed. Yeah, federal law. I think it's in 45 or 46 states now where they cannot advertise for any tobacco products
Tobacco products, yeah.
in the U.S. because they will usually attempt to target children with those ads,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Which, I mean, I think you should be at least 18 before you decide, even though you're not even fully developed brain-wise until you're around 26.
Yeah. And
Your brain's
what
not
they
fully developed
did,
until 26, yeah.
yeah. And what the governments, etc., did under probably who knows how many years of pressure that they put. Well, okay, the gambling has always, as far as I can tell, had the age limit of 18. But um, when I was a kid, this would have been in the late 1990s. Uh, a kid could play these slot machines with the consent of an adult, as in parents or grandparents.
Yeah.
And I remember playing these slot machines at a bowling alley while my grandparents were having a drink in the bar, and I went outside the bar, and I had with their consent, and they actually gave me money for it. This was in the 1990s, but it was. But one of the ladies who worked there came and asked me, "How old are you?" Or "Do you have your parents' consent?" Or something like, "Where are your parents?" And I said, "Okay, my grandparents are there. They're on that side there." And she was like, "Okay, whatever. Don't just gamble it too much, okay?" But fast forward to 2022, they actually enforce the they have only just started, just
Yeah.
as of like beginning of this year.
Oh
Over
God.
well over 25 years later, they have actually started enforcing that. And now you have to identify yourself. At these slot machines, they have this. You have to use your internet banking credentials to strong identification shit.
And it's funny too because
That
we used
you
to
need
actually
your
have
internet banking you need your internet banking details, which we use to you know identify ourselves. To when we take care of stuff online, like when we go check the social security stuff, we order something online, we etc. We create user accounts to certain places, etc. We need
yeah.
those banking accounts, those
But
online banking details.
I think it's actually kind of funny because back when I was a kid, again, I actually used to see a lot of vending machines that had cigarettes in them that had no supervision whatsoever. As in, you
Yeah,
could any kid could go up to the vending machine, put $5 in, get well, not even $5. So I think it was like a buck 25, and
yeah,
get a pack of cigarettes.
yeah. I remember having that. I lived in Belgium in the early 2000s when I was like, say,
We had the
13 to
same
7.
we had the same thing with alcohol. It was like a Coke machine but with alcohol in it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
anyone could just walk up and buy alcohol. You didn't
I
have to
think
be
in
18.
Brussels, yeah, I think in Brussels they had at the time at least they had the thing, they had these at least these tiny bottles of alcohol, like
Yeah,
deciliter
yeah,
worth
little.
of small tiny whiskey bottles, and then they had these vending machines for cigarettes. They had these vending machines even in the bar toilets.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
they I mean and the cafeteria toilets, train station toilets, cigarettes fucking everywhere.
yeah. Same way here.
And
Same thing here.
and it you I mean I even okay, the age limit for cigarettes and mild alcohol beverages was and still is 16 in Belgium. But even at the age of 13, I could go, 12 and 13, I could go to one of these vending machines next to a kiosk or at the train station, metro station, get a pack of cigarettes and go puff it out outside the station.
Yeah, they
And
didn't care. They didn't care.
no one turned an eye.
Yeah, because they didn't care back then. But now that we have research that shows, the effects of tobacco on, younger individuals, well, on people in general, really, because the
Yeah.
cancer thing. We know,
Well, they
you
knew it back
can't
in
do
the
it.
80s. Come on.
Well, they knew it back then, but it wasn't as relevant knowledge as it is now.
Yeah.
As in, they didn't really care as much. about help?
Okay, there's Nimrod saying that's a Nordic thing. You have to have a registered card with the state gambling authority in Sweden. Sweden can't even watch. They will stop the game if a minor is watching Hardest
Oh,
Corner. Yeah, so that's in Sweden. Okay, and here in Finland, there's a like a red square around the slot machine, and you can't have a minor within that striped off area. And they, having the strong identification thing is try to limit um, the debt people accumulate from gambling, because the slot machines in the supermarkets are the places where the poor people go to and spend their money, instead of probably the grocery store and the liquor store. I mean, the money could be much more well spent on quality stuff in the liquor store
and
and
like
and the
here,
grocery store.
and like here, I know in Vegas as well as well any casino area in the U.S., which is usually just relegated to Vegas because
Hmm.
that's the only place where legalized gambling is.
Hmm.
You have to be over 21. Well, you can be under 21 and enter a casino, but you
But
can't
you
stop.
can't do anything else.
You can't do anything. You can't even stop while your parent, plays. You have to be first. You have to be with adult supervision to
Uh-huh.
even enter the casino.
Yeah.
Second, if your parent decides to stop and play a game or something, you can't just sit there with them. You have to go to your room usually. You have to, go to a place where they're not having, the gambling going on. So a room, the or the restaurant that's usually attached
Yeah.
to the casino, anywhere that gambling is not occurring, that child has to go. But they have to go with adult supervision. So that
So
means
basically, you gotta have okay. Please explain to me the age limit of 21,
yeah,
and
21.
why not 18?
I
Why?
never
I mean, for
oh because
alcohol,
usually
why
alcohol is
not
served
21? Why not
because
18?
alcohol is usually being served at the place, and the reasoning behind the 21 for alcohol is usually brain development, from what I have
But
understood.
in the every single other country in the world, it's 18,
Yeah, I
and
know.
some countries 16, like
In
Belgium, the
in,
Netherlands, Germany, etc.
in
Like
France,
mild alcohol beverages, but you can
I believe it's
still
13. In France, I believe it's 13 actually.
could be. I don't know. I think it's 16. It can't be that low. I mean, the age of consent maybe is, but not alcohol. Yeah, but the weird thing is that I just don't get it. Like in most states,
Oh, it's
it,
18 in France. Sorry, no, they have
hard liquor
unlike
is 18.
Unlike most other countries, France has two drinking ages. Young people can drink or purchase wine and beers from the age of 18, and hard liquor from 16, and hard liquor from 18.
Yeah,
Bartenders and shopkeepers don't usually check the identification cards of the customers, however young.
yeah. That's the same in Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, at least, probably the UK.
So you can
I,
drink.
I remember I
So,
remember going 20 something years ago to England, and I was, a friend was able to purchase cigarettes legally, and he got his ID checked. He got carded at the age of 16 and was able to buy cigarettes in England at the time. This was just 20 something years, 20 years ago.
I think it should all be changed to 26, personally,
Why? I
because
think 18 is fine. I think 18 is just fine.
at the age of 18 you still your brain isn't fully developed, and
Yeah.
you haven't really developed your risk taking behaviors yet, so you're more likely to go out and drive and drink and drive if you're 18 over if you're over 26,
Uh huh.
because
Yeah.
because
I mean, if
you're still engaging in risk engaging in
yeah,
risk
I
taking
mean,
behaviors at 18.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, fine. In Finland, it's mild alcohol beverages up until I think as long as you
But
know however strong regular wines go, like 15, I think, is the
but
regular
uh,
is the wines, but and then 20 no sorry up to 21 under 21% of alcohol it's 18 and over that it's 20.
but at the same time, I believe if you are able to go and serve your country as in enter the military at 18,
Yeah.
you should be able to drink at that same age.
Yes,
So
I think
it's
so
a
too.
bit conflicting. So it's a bit conflicting in that regard because
And I think if and one point I may, if you are considered to be able to if the age of when the age of consent is 16,
yeah, well,
I
certain
think I
states.
think I'm of the opinion that you are at the same time able to consent to consuming mild uh, alcoholic
Alcoholic beverages.
beverages,
Yeah.
let's say beer and cider, and you know, and the lot. If at the age of consent, because you're able to
Well,
consent to
what you
sexual
could do.
activities,
But
but you are not allowed to consent to drinking mild alcoholic beverages or smoke cigarettes.
well, what you could do then is relegate the higher, harder liquor to a higher age group, as well as limit, well, lower rather, the drinking age of milder alcoholic beverages, say beer, wine coolers, anything below, say, 8% alcohol content. I think you should be able to drink as soon as you're 16, but anything harder than that, say whiskey or scotch or, bourbon,
Etc. And the
etc.,
lot,
etc., 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 should be relegated to a higher, age, like,
yeah,
say, in your 20s.
yeah. Why the
Which
hell
would
not?
make sense, which makes more sense because beer isn't going to do much to you. Beer doesn't really get most people drunk. They do it.
It does.
Yeah,
Well, it depends on what kind of beer you drink.
yeah, yeah,
If you
true.
drink the stuff that I've been drinking tonight, it's 9% and 11% alcohol. So if you drink a six pack of these, you are drunk.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
but yeah, there's always
So
been this whole thing where they say, well, if I'm able to go out and die for my country, I should be able to get a fucking drink.
yeah,
And that's another thing.
you know,
If it,
touch a fucking gun.
and that's another thing. If you're surfing, say, in another country
Yeah.
while you're on base, you're not allowed to drink on base, which I
Uh-huh.
never understood that. I get, if you're on call, if you're on duty, yeah, you shouldn't drink. But if you're off duty, you should be able to drink as much as you fucking want.
Yeah. Yeah. Teenagers are having fun with. If you can hear that,
Yeah, I heard that.
but yeah,
Can't stop it. I know.
yeah.
Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours now, so we want to go
Have we?
ahead and
Oh, come on.
yeah, want to
Yeah.
go
Yeah. It's
ahead and
almost
wrap it
two
up.
hours. Yeah.
Want to go ahead and wrap it up?
Yeah, and I have to. Yeah, and I have work tomorrow at 1 p.m. and it's midnight,
Yeah,
almost midnight.
you might want to get to bed soon, sweetie.
Hey, before we go, I just want to shill once again my um um.
And it's also funny, but going back to
Oh
alcohol real quick.
yeah, and Nimrod points out, can get at the age of 18, can get married at the age of 16. You can have sex at 16, get married, be a soldier at 18, but cannot drink. Then the age of consent is wrong. Okay, I'm gonna show my channel. Heidi's Corner. Please go check it out. Check my videos. I have
Yeah,
all kinds of fun stuff about tranny stuff.
I was going to say something. I
Uh,
completely forget what I
Forgive
was
me
going
my
to
language. And I already shared the links to my Laurel Hubbard videos, the Kiwi trans woman weightlifter who was representing her country, New Zealand, in the Summer Olympics last year. So, just a moment, I'll close the door.
Oh yeah, I also find it funny.
Yes,
There
you
is,
can find it. You can find it when you just scroll down far enough.
but yeah, I was about to say there's one state though that's really messed up.
Mhm.
The state of Utah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the more. Yeah. Oh my
Mormons.
God, the Mormons. Yeah.
You can't even sell alcohol there that's above 8%
Uh huh.
in the entire state.
Uh huh.
But yeah,
So you have to get it out, go out of state to get some liquor.
yeah. But anyway, we've got the shilling out of the way. We've got what we
Yep.
learned out the way, and we've got the alcohol talk out the way.
Yes,
So,
which is wonderful.
good night, all you lovely people, or good day, or whatever time it is you're in right now. Say bye.
Bye.